I know the Yankees have had a rich past. Do you think their legendary level has been tainted? I don't think I know who your all-time favorite Yankees are. Who you got? What's your coolest moment on WFAN? What's my coolest moment on WFAN? One of my first coolest moments was, yo, here we go, McPherson brand YouTube channel, actually getting some long-form content in a different look, a different way. I put out a question on my Instagram and my Twitter where I said, hey, ask me anything about sports, my life, my career. Maybe your question could get featured on the YouTube. I'm gonna answer as many of them as I can, and hopefully you learn something, and write in the comments if you have some other questions, and let's see how it goes. First one, Lag Wagons Heroes, my guy. I met you at the Pinstripe Pride event last year, not this year. I think you said this year you were with your kids at Nickelodeon, but your question is, I don't think I know who your all-time favorite Yankees are, who you got, and most importantly, why. I always give these four guys, and I guess it would be a Mount Rushmore. Yogi Berra, 10 rings. The guy's story is amazing. He was undersized. He wasn't supposed to be a major league ball player. He just grinded, had the heart, got it done. He's also got New Jersey ties in Montclair. And like I said, he's a champion, 10-time champion, and he did everything from being a player to a manager. And he's also got some other cities like Pittsburgh involved. So shout out to Yogi Berra, 1. And I love that number 8. 2 would be Bernie Williams. When I was a kid and I first put on a glove and picked up a bat and played center field in Little League, 5'1", Bernie Williams was clutch. And at that time, I was like 9, 10 years old. I didn't know that Bernie was Puerto Rican, Boricua. I thought he was a black dude. So seeing a black dude on the Yankees in center field, representation matters. You see somebody that looks like you want to be like them, you want to emulate them. And then fast forward, I get on the radio at WFAN. Bernie Williams is listening. His manager, Forge, shout out to Forge, is listening. I come to find out that Bernie's been following me on Instagram, listening to my radio show, and I get to connect with them. And if you've been following me, you know I go to the softball game. I went to his wine event. And anytime I see Bernie, it's all love. He's just been a great friend and resource. And it's obviously wild for me to go from a kid dressing up for Halloween back-to-back years as Bernie Williams to now I can hit Bernie Williams and rub shoulders with Bernie Williams, and I see him multiple times a year. The next one would be Derek Jeter, iconic, the captain, shortstop, number 2, Derek Jeter. I think anybody that just watched the Yankees in the late 90s and 2000s, early 2000s, even it's crazy to think it's been over 10 years now that Jeter's been retired. For me, Jeter retired the year that I was in the fan cave. So the farewell captain year, his last year, I didn't go to one single Yankee game, but I watched every game from the MLB fan cave. I'll always remember that. I'll always remember that year. And obviously, he had the walk-off hit to end his career. It was, theater, fantasy meets reality. Derek Jeter's obviously, got to be one of your favorite Yankees. And last but not least, modern day times, all rise, number 99, Aaron Judge. I don't know how anyone could hate on that guy. I'm so excited for him this year. He just had his first child, his daughter. I think with the disappointment of dropping that pop-up and striking out all those times in the postseason, I think it's going to change him a little bit. He's still got something to prove. 2-time, should be 3-time MVP. Probably win the MVP again this year. And I'm just excited to see Judge. He's my favorite player on the team right now. And those are my 4 favorite Yankees. Nick in Morganville, my guy, I'll see you at Juan's. Do you still find yourself setting goals professionally? And if you are, what is your ultimate goal career-wise? I honestly try not to set goals as far as I'm gonna have 50,000 followers, or I try not to put numbers or hard goals in my mind, because then if you come up short, you're gonna feel disappointed. I'm always looking to grow. I'm always looking to get better at what I'm doing. I'm always looking to try new things, expand. So setting goals is good, but I think a lot of people get too blocked into like, oh, I'm gonna write this goal down, and then what happens if life takes you a different direction or something else comes up and plans change? Like, I would say that my goal career-wise is just to be lit, just to be rich, just to be famous, just to win, just to help other people as I come up. It's not really like a hard goal of like a number or a certain thing. Pam, my number one fan. Keith, how do you balance being a sportscaster and having a family? Patience, I would say time management, and priorities. Like, you gotta have patience. There's just so many things going on that you can't control what you can control. Time management is big. You gotta have every hour of the day, at least in your head, blocked out. Like, all right, I'm gonna hit the gym this hour. I'm gonna eat and I'm gonna shower up and get dressed this hour. I'm gonna hang out with my son this hour. I'm gonna go to dinner with my wife tonight for 2-3 hours. Like, I gotta sleep for 6-7 hours. The alarm goes off. I gotta go get my hair done. I gotta go, you know what I'm saying? Like, every day can't just be scrolling TikTok, Instagram, aimlessly watching Netflix. Like, to balance all of the things, which is literally like, people need me, my wife needs me, my son needs me, the radio station needs me, the New York Red Bulls might need me for something, MLB Network might need me for something, Yes Network might need, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything's just gotta be scheduled and planned, and you gotta have a list of priorities. You gotta know what to get done first, and you kind of check things off that way. Jay Schmeezy, Joe says your go-to bodega order, and Joe is saying that because he knows what types I'd be on at the bodega. I really don't even order anything at the bodega now because the bodega is too packed. Like, the bodega has gone so mainstream. The bleacher creatures are so mainstream that, like, when you go to Yankee Stadium and you go to the bodega, you got to be there 2 hours before first pitch, because anytime after that, you can't move in there. But I used to always get a chopped cheese on a roll because it's $1 less. And I would get the beef empanadas. And now, I mean, maybe once in a while, like if I'm in there early, I'll get a bacon, egg, and cheese if it's a 105 game, bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll. But like, now I don't order. If I pull up, I'm pulling up, I'm getting a 6-pack of Corona, and I'm telling homie that makes the sandwiches, yo, chop this lime up for me. He'll dice up the lime, put it in a little plastic bag, and I'm in the backyard with a 6-pack of Corona. And hey, there, whoever gets to him, right? I don't drink all 6. If you want a beer, you can have a beer. Here's a lime, and then I'll go back in and get another 6-pack. Shraggy Y says, I know the Yankees have had a rich past. Do you think their legendary level has been tainted, and will they ever get back to it? Yeah, the past is the past. History is history. And I think the Yankees live a lot off of that. But what I find is, if they don't luckily they got back to the World Series. If they don't win another World Series, they're just going to become a meme. They're just going to become a joke. Like, these younger kids are born every day. These younger kids are becoming every day. There are kids now that they don't remember 2009 at all. And they're grown men. They can buy beers in the stadium, right? Like, they can't tell you anything about the 2009 World Series. They're not familiar with Hideki Matsui. They don't know Mark Teixeira. A-Rod coming through. They can't remember that. They don't have that in their brain. So it's like, yeah, you can go back and watch on YouTube. You can watch Yankeeography, Yankee Classics, but is it tainted? Yeah, because it's a drought, and we might actually hit the longest drought for, a World Series win. The Yankees' longest drought, I think, is like 18 years. We're going on 15, I think 16 years. And will they ever get back to it? They got to win. I think they have a good chance this year to get back to the World Series and win it. I don't fear the Dodgers. Whoever comes out of the National League, I think they can beat. I think they could have had a better showing against the Dodgers. It's all about winning. The Yankees market themselves as the 27-time World Series champions, right? It's all about the prestige of winning championships. And if you don't win any championships, you can't really market that. My guy, Julian Guiarte, 11. What's your coolest moment on WFAN? What's my coolest moment on WFAN? One of my first coolest moments was my audition where DJ Mr. C called in. And rest in peace to DJ Mr. C. I always say I wish I went out of my way to go meet him. He heard me my first night on the radio. I was real green and just like had no idea what I was doing. But he felt my energy and my vibe. And I talked about being a DJ in the Shore area and like how I came up. And I think that caught him. And, just being a young black man on the airwaves, him being a black dude himself, he called to kind of, give me a stamp of approval and say, like, listen, brother, like, this opportunity doesn't come around that often for a lot of us. I heard you say you're a DJ. I heard you say you're a former athlete. Like, do your thing, hold it down. I'm wishing you luck. And for me, I was like, whoa, like in that moment, that's where I felt right away. I'm in here with two people, but I have no idea who's listening to this. And DJ Mr. C, who was a legendary DJ in New York City and had been on Hot 97, Power 105, 94.7 The Block, he was listening, he called in, and that was just like a big, like, stamp of approval. Master P483, I'm not sure who that is, but Master P483 writes, in your opinion, what separates the top prospect talent QBs from the rest of the pack? I think we're talking draft. So, when you're looking at quarterbacks in the draft, you want to watch their film and see how they process information. You want to see how quickly they get to their decision making, because the jump from college to the NFL, that's the biggest thing, the speed, right? You got to see these guys read a defense, snap the ball, and deliver the ball, and how quick they can do that. I think that's the biggest thing with these quarterbacks. Not always speed, not always arm strength. I think when you watch their film and you can see how they, decide where to go with the pill, that's how you know. Slummy Kev says, when did you realize, like, okay, I'm the voice of the youth? I won't even say that I'm the voice of the youth. What I'll say is that I've listened to sports talk radio my whole life, and I've listened to WFAN now for years. And when, I started getting calls from younger kids, like 12, 13-year-olds, that never happens. And it happens consistently. One, you're not even supposed to call a radio under the age of 18. There's some, like, legalities with that, like, with what goes on. But very early in my time at WFAN, I started getting these young callers. I think it's just my voice, my vernacular, my style. I don't sound like some of these old guys sound on the radio that talk sports. I meet a lot of dads who are like, you're my son's favorite. When we ride in the car and he hears you come on, like, you're, like, right away, he's like, yeah, KM to AM. So I just think I have a young energy. I think I connect with the young fans, and I kind of branded it, and I branded it incorrectly. When I started, I was like, oh, these are my young Jedi. But then one of my homies who's like a Star Wars nerd, he's like, no, they would be Padawans. So shout out to the young Padawans. What was your first podcast? My guy, I am not an artist, not a salesman, Luis. Your podcast is amazing, by the way. Keep doing your thing, bro. The first podcast I ever did was a podcast called George's Box. The name I did not choose. I did this with Bronx Pinstripes, a Yankees blog, bronxpinstripes.com. I met those guys in 2014. I invited them to the MLB Fan Cave because I was just a fan of their blog and their content. And then I started doing some digital work with them. Like if I went to Chicago or Pittsburgh or Philly, I would do like an Instagram takeover and bring people into the ballpark with me. In 2019, they had a successful Yankees podcast for 2 years called The BP Show, and they brought the idea to me to have me do the podcast and pair up with Jack Jokinen, aka JJ from Barstool. He goes by JJ from the Bronx now, but when he departed from Barstool, he wanted to stay in the baseball world. And with me departing from MLB Fan Cave and also having the radio and TV degree, they took a shot at putting us together. And what I'll say about it is, they gave us a bump because the first episodes we did were on their feed, which was already established with thousands of listeners and downloads. And then we got our own feed. We did one episode a week. I did every Wednesday an episode for 30 weeks of the season, and that was it. Ultimately, I made $0 off of it. I was disrespected by them. I didn't have a seat at the table. The ideas that I had for merch or other things in content, they didn't really value. They didn't see the me that you see right now, and that's cool because everybody's gonna go through things like that. People are not gonna notice your value, and if they do notice your value and consider you a threat, they're going to try and keep you under them. They're gonna try and keep you under their thumb. So these guys will probably hear this or see this, and I know for a fact they have seen my Instagram, Twitter. This is now 2025. Like, it's been a long time. No hard feelings, but they're definitely a part of the people that I prove wrong every day. And yeah, that was my first podcast. I didn't even want to do the podcast, honestly, because back in 2019, I'm like, everybody's doing a podcast. But thank God I did. I think that was people's first time hearing me consistently in the audio only form. There was no video, it was audio only, and it did well. It was one and done, and I did 2 other Yankee podcasts after that. AJ Bianco writes, will you possibly join me and my co-host for a Yankees podcast at Chase for 28? I've seen you guys with the Chase for 28 podcast. Absolutely. Send an email to the email in my bio. I'm starting to do podcasts again. Another question from AJ Bianco. What advice do you have for someone looking to get started in this role? My son is 12. Man, now you don't need any type of degree. Now you don't need anyone to put you on. Put yourself on. Buy a microphone. Get set up in your room. Get the lighting right? Go on StreamYard or Streamlabs or Riverside and start streaming to YouTube, to Facebook, to Twitch. Build your Instagram. Build your TikTok. We are in the time right now where if you're dope, people are gonna find you. Everything you need is right at your fingertips. You're not at the mercy of no one saw my resume, or my dad doesn't work in the business, I can't get in, or I have no connections. If you're good, start, and especially start at 12. I always tell these young guys that it's gonna take you a while to develop. When I first started, I didn't like the sound of my voice. Now every single day people are like, I love your voice. I love listening to you, your voice. Your ears are here, your mouth is here. The way that you hear your voice isn't how the world hears it. But start practicing listening to your voice and getting over that, right? I mean, practice saying your name. You know how many times I gotta get on the radio and say, this is Keith McPherson on the Fan? It's gotta be like that. I've done it on TV. Ultimately, what I'm saying is when you're young, start sharpening your sword. In the dark when nobody is watching, so that actually when you step out on the battlefield, you're ready to go. At 12, I wasn't doing any of this. I had no idea at 12 what I was gonna do or be. I thought I was gonna be quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Next question is from Yad blah blah blah. Favorite QB of all time? Troy Aikman. When I was a kid, I started watching Fox football, NFL Sundays. Nobody told me to do it. Nobody made me do it. I came up in the 90s. The first Super Bowl I remember, the Cowboys put up 50 points on the Bills. Troy Aikman won 3 Super Bowls, and he played in a time where you could hit the quarterback, and he was tough, and he was a field general. I remember reading a book about him as a kid, and he transferred from Oklahoma to UCLA, and then he was the number 1 pick of the Dallas Cowboys, and he won championships with the Cowboys. And when you're a young kid, you just want to roll with the winners. You're a front runner. I had no guidance. I had nobody tell me not to be a stupid Cowboys fan. And Troy Aikman was my guy, so much so that I wore number 8 playing Pop Warner football, Pee Wee football, midget football, freshman year, high school. I wore number 8 and played quarterback. And it was because of Troy Aikman. My brother used to call me Troy Fakeman. My guy, Chris, what does it take for someone to be a successful content creator? Consistency. I get mad at myself because I'm like, I know I have it. I know I have an audience. I know what it takes. I did social media working for MTV, for Fubo TV, for Rock Nation. It's consistency. They call it a feed for a reason. You got to feed it. You got to feed the timeline. You got to feed the beast. Not everything's going to hit. Not everything's going to work. But you don't need to hit a home run every single time. You just need to get up to bat and take a swing and have a couple hits and then run into a grand slam. So I'll say consistency, man. Just, put out content and don't be worried about how many likes it gets or how many views it gets or hater ass comments. Just keep stacking and stacking and stacking. And, the things that, that hit are going to be what, grow your following and connect for you. Everything doesn't have to hit. I watch media rights as a side hustle and not career. What's your advice for a content creator? If you have a career and you just want to do it on the side, then create content that you love and try your best to create content that's different than anybody else, right? If it's just a side hustle, you should have fun doing it. And if it's just a side hustle and you're not trying to strictly make money off it, right? People work jobs to make money. So if it's a side hustle for you, make content that you like, that you love, and try to be creative enough to not just, copycat the next person you see or see something and be like, I want to do that. Try to be, creative and, make stuff that isn't out there. Fabulous 5 Pat says, your honest feelings about Juan Soto going to the Mets from the Yankees. Was it money? Yeah, it was money. It's the largest contract in the history of sports. My honest feelings that night, I was sad. it was over. That night, I thought we had a good shot. But honestly, earlier that day, I saw a post that said, like, Steve Cohen is willing to go to $800 million. Like, the Yankees are out. And people couldn't verify the reporter being credible, whatever. But I'm like, the winter meetings, people were already together in Texas. I just knew. I'm like, if Steve Cohen's willing to go to $800 million for one player, yeah, the Yankees aren't signing that guy. So my honest feelings, I was sad because I watched this guy help send the Yankees back to the World Series. But I always knew he's for the streets. I knew he was going to the highest bidder. He had no loyalty to the Yankees, and I got loyalty to the Yankees. My life changed tremendously just being a Yankees fan. And if you don't want to be down with us, then be out. We'll see him soon. T. Schmidt 10. If there was one person on WFAN that you could work with daily, who would it be? All right, let me see. When you say on WFAN, I'm assuming you mean voices on WFAN. I'm assuming you mean people that do shows. Mark Malusis. I would put Mark Malusis out there. Ricky Ricardo. I would put Ricky Ricardo out there. Susan Waldman. I put Susan Waldman out there. Who else? EJ Stewart. I put EJ Stewart out there. Every day. Like every day, I don't even have the same producer every day. I have like 3 or 4 different producers every week. But I'm assuming you're asking like co-hosts. I've co-hosted with C-Mac. I don't mind C-Mac. I got a ton of respect for him, and I listen to his show almost every night when I'm driving home and trying to decompress. I've done some other shows with some other guys, but yeah, I would say Mark Malusis, Ricky Ricardo, Susan Waldman, EJ Stewart. That dude Jizzo writes, honestly, why do you dislike the Knicks? A few reasons. I'll try and make it short, but I could do this for an hour. I'm from Jersey, so I'm a Nets fan. And even before I chose to be a Nets fan, I just felt like Knicks fans carried this braggadocious, big-time bully energy, and it didn't match, right? They walk around like Tarzan and play like Jane. I felt like all of the hype around the Knicks doesn't match what they've been in their history. What have they won? What have they done? They always have these go New York, go, like super overhyped teams, and then they get knocked out in the second round. So for me, I just was like, the math isn't mathing, yo. Like, this is the Mecca, the greatest arena in the world, Madison Square Garden, all this glitz and glamour and hype. And I'm like, yo, those are tourists buying the tickets. Like, those are people visiting in New York paying for those seats. And you saw that with the Let's Go Celtics, Let's Go Lakers chants. Those are visitors. Those are, fans coming in. And until the Knicks can get to Eastern Conference Finals, like, I just feel like Knicks fans got to pipe down. And this Knicks team has a window here of, like, the next 2-3 years to potentially win it. But all I'm saying is, like, yo, all that bing bong and blah, 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 hey, KD, don't you wish you came to the Knicks? Like, F. Trey Young and all that, like, all that partying outside the arena for what? For winning the first round? You making us all look bad. They make New Yorkers look bad. So it's not even that I hate the Knicks. I do hate their colors. I hate how the fans represent the Knicks. It's odd. It doesn't make sense. Canucks fan 01. Where is Bregman signing? With the Boston Red Sox, a late overpay. John Henry thinks he did something. You already have a good third baseman that you paid $300 million. We'll see him soon, though. Yo, so thanks for watching that. Hopefully you got your question answered. We'll do this again. I kind of want to do it the negative way. I kind of want to do like reading like the mean tweets. So I got to comb through all the haters and respond to some of the stuff that people say about me online. But I appreciate the love and the support. You guys are part of my tribe. You guys are part of my community. And I'll be streaming here on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, on Instagram. And you guys know I'm not hard to get to. You can DM me, you can email me. And if you hit me on Twitter, I usually respond. Subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll be back soon.